What's going on, everybody? Welcome back here to another video on the Justin Dietrich channel. Today we are hitting you with the 2-round mock draft. This is being recorded the day after the Super Bowl on Monday. I wish it was a holiday. Still got class today though, but we are thriving in the middle of class. We're recording this 2-round mock draft. Congratulations to the Eagles for winning the Super Bowl. That does establish the draft order, and they are down here at 32. The Chiefs at 31. Of course, this is the first 2-round mock draft I'm doing this year, so there'll be a lot of picks. We'll try to go through, talk about every single one of them. It's going to be a long video, so buckle in. Watch in 2 parts if you need to. Get some food, some popcorn, something to drink, and we'll get started here and talk about the Tennessee Titans. I think it's pretty clear what the Tennessee Titans are going to do, at least at this point. So we're going to give him Cam Ward. He's the best quarterback in the draft. I think that's pretty established now. He's been my QB1 for, I've really, really loved him. Since his first year at Washington State, he's been on the top of my boards at quarterback. You don't really pass up on him. You don't pick at number 1 very often. He's got an elite arm, great improvising ability. Of course, needs to probably work on playing in time and not playing hero ball. He forces some throws. But incredible prospect, and Tennessee gets him there at 1. At 2, we're going to go with Abdul Carter. With Garrett requesting a trade, this just makes so much sense. You need to replace the production that Garrett had off the edge, and Carter can do that pretty quickly. Freak athlete, put up a great numbers at Penn State. He's going to test incredibly well at the Combine and Pro Days if he does those testings. So Carter there at 2. The Giants here at 3. Now, they desperately need a quarterback, but do they go quarterback? I don't know. It'd be Shedeur Sanders. Would they really want to go Shedeur? Maybe I think they just go best player available, and that's probably Travis Hunter at this point. He's going to play cornerback full-time. I know Daniel Jeremiah has him as full-time wide receiver. I know most, including me, have him as full-time corner. I think he's going to end up playing on both sides of the ball, but not full-time. Like full-time corner, then maybe 15, 20, maybe 10 snaps on offense, red zone. I mean, he's not going to be full-time both sides, but he can provide. Maybe he can even become a return man just to keep that, the value that he has with the ball in his hands and kind of up that value. But Travis Hunter with the Giants, you just need talent, and he's a very talented athlete, great player. Patriots at 4, Drake May needs weapons. Drake May desperately needs weapons. But you also need a lot. And I've seen this. Will Campbell's been going higher a little bit in recent drafts, and I'm going to go with Will Campbell. Daniel Jeremiah seems to think he can stick at tackle, and I thought with the arm length he probably wouldn't. However, more and more people are putting him higher in the draft and saying he can stick at tackle. And even if he can't, you can try him out there and move him inside the guard, and he's got the talent to be an all-pro guard. So the Patriots just need to get better on the offensive line. If you're not going to give Drake May weapons, you might as well protect him, and Will Campbell does that. The Jaguars at 5, this one's pretty solid for me. I mean, if Will Johnson's there, which I think he will be, you go Will Johnson. He's been dropping in recent mocks recently. Some, concerns with his top-end speed and maybe his coverage ability, like downfield. However, I really like Will Johnson. He's big, he's physical, he's a good tackler. I think he's really good in coverage. That top-end speed is worrying. I don't know how he's going to test, as well as missing some time with injury this past season. But the Jaguars just need to get better in that cornerback room, and Johnson comes in instantly on that boundary and fills a hole. The Raiders at 6. I mean, if he's there, if Shedeur is there, you'll do it. I don't think you trade up for Shedeur Sanders, but if he's there, they definitely need a quarterback, and he has expressed his desire to play for the Giants or the Raiders. The Raiders are probably the second on that. I mean, the Giants for sure. He wore the New York cleats, but talented guy. He's got really good accuracy. He doesn't have the strongest arm, and he's not the best athlete, but he's accurate, and he plays in time. So I think he's going to be a solid NFL quarterback. He's not my favorite prospect. I don't have a high grade on him. However, I can see the value. Obviously, there's value with the position, and I can see where you think he might be your franchise guy going forward. So we give it to him again. This is not what I would do. This isn't if I was a GM. This is predictive. So we all know Shedeur's going to go in the first round. So if I'd left him out, that would be idiotic of me. The Jets at 7. The Jets at 7 will just let Aaron Rodgers know that he's not going to be coming back. But there's no quarterback worth taking on the board right now. I mean, you're not reaching up for Jalen Milroe or Dylan Gabriel or Will Howard or Jackson Dart right now. You're not doing that. So where do you go with this pick? Well, Davante Adams is probably gone too, considering Aaron Rodgers will be gone. So you need someone else to catch the football, and Tedaroya McMillan can do that. He's got good hands, great size, there's concerns with, of course, the lack of separation and lack of effort on tape sometimes, but you think you can get over that when you click here and take a look at this. He's 6'5", 212, and this is, I would like to stay on PFF, please. 6'5", 212. He's only 21. He's got to be 22 at the start of the first season. You're getting a big-bodied outside receiver, and if Rodgers is gone, then Garrett Wilson's probably going to stay. It also means Devontae Adams is gone, so you need to replace that production. You go with Tet McMillan. The Panthers at 8. They're a tough team for me because they need a lot. And I'm going to push somebody up the board, and it's going to be Shamar Stewart. I think he's going to go in the top 10. He's just an athletic freak. He's going to test well. And every single year, there's players, especially on the edge, that get pushed up because of athletic testing and because they have that athletic profile. If you can mold the rest of their game, they're going to be ridiculous. I think that player is going to be Shamar Stewart this year. A really, really solid guy. He's huge. I mean, he can play that 3-4 defensive end or 4-3 on the inside. 6'6", 290. I mean, and he runs fast, too. He had a great Senior Bowl. He's going to be just ridiculous. Of course, the Panthers just need to get better on defense as a whole. So you take a guy that you think can really come in there and be mainstay, a staple of your defensive production down the line 2-3 years. Saints at 9, you need a lot. You're bringing in new head coach, former Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, and his offense is really based on the run game. They brought in Saquon Barkley, and that did really well. They don't pass as much. Of course, that is also a product of Jalen Hurts, but you have Devontae Smith, you have A.J. Brown. That's a stacked offense. But what else does Kellen Moore like to use a lot? It's tight ends. Tyler Warren. I haven't seen Warren to the Saints a lot, and I don't really understand why. I mean, they don't have a great tight end core in Jawan Johnson, but you just need production there, and obviously you need guys to catch the ball. You need wide receiver, but Warren's going to produce like a wide receiver. He's going to put up wide receiver type numbers because he's just that good. He can block, he can run, he can catch. He's going to be a downfield weapon for you. Whether you decide to go with Carr for another year or Spencer Rattler or whatever, if you bring in like Justin Fields, whoever you bring in, whoever is your quarterback is going to appreciate having a tight end like Tyler Warren there. I mean, it's a position that's important to Kellen Moore and his offense, and I think the Saints are going to fill that position here. The Bears at 10, I mean, offensive line, right? Offensive line. So where do we look? We go to this tackle position, and I'm going to go with Armand Membu. The arm measurements came back pretty solid. I think he's going to be able to stick at tackle if you wanted him to. Again, he could move into guard. 6'3" is the issue. He's short, but the arm length is solid. Hit that threshold about 34 inches. So, again, it's another one of those guys that you can put on tackle if you want, or you can move him inside the guard if he doesn't work there. You just have the flexibility. You have options, and you need to protect Caleb Williams. Bottom line, simple as that. We saw what no protection did to the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. San Francisco, I mean, Mason Graham's falling, and you can always get better on the defensive line. He's an incredible player. You get him down here in 11, it's an absolute steal. Put a great production for the Wolverines. Of course, San Francisco, their defensive line just was kind of disappointing this year, and that's something we haven't seen from their defense in a long time. Graham could come in there, fill a hole up the middle, and I think that's solid. Perfect pick for the Cowboys, Ashton Jeanty. I mean, you need to run the football. You had Rico Dowdle in there. Deuce Vaughn was in there. Zeke was in there for a while. Nah, Jeanty's an incredible prospect. The contact balance is ridiculous. He's got decent top-end speed. That's probably his biggest concern as well as the size. But he added on, good pass protection. At least he puts an effort to protect the passer. He can catch. He's not a receiving back, but he can catch. But, of course, he's just so hard to bring down, so hard to tackle. Strong legs. He's going to produce. He's going to be a great NFL running back. And the Cowboys to get him here at 12. I think Jeanty could go higher. I think everyone's kind of forgotten about him since he lost the Heisman when he shouldn't. He should have won the Heisman, in my opinion. Everyone's kind of forgotten about him a little bit. I think he could go top 10. I really could. I could see the Bears. I could see the Saints. I mean, I know you have a couple running backs there, but come on. Jeanty's better. I mean, I know Kamara's there, but he's starting to lose the rushing production. The receiving production is still there, but can you imagine the 1-2 punch with Jeanty and Kamara? I could see even a team like the Raiders. I mean, again, you never know. You never know. For the Dolphins, I hate picking for the Dolphins, but I am going to go offensive tackle. It's going to be Kelvin Banks. I had Kelvin Banks fall a while back, and someone was really mad at me. Again, this isn't for you, but you just need to get better at the tackle spots. Protect Tua, of course, your number one issue. You got to protect his head, make sure he doesn't get more concussions. Kelvin Banks is going to do that. You can play on the left side or on the right side. I think he can switch over if you need him to. Really, really big player. Solid guy. He's on the ground a little bit too much. When you watch his tape, he just ends up falling, which, yeah, I mean, obviously it's fine, but I'd rather have my player up and blocking, ready to block another guy than on the ground. So there's issues with Kelvin Banks, but I think he's solid. And again, you'd fill a hole there at tackle for the Dolphins. 14, I've given them Malachi Starks here before, but I kind of want to do it again. It's the logical pick. Starks could go higher just because of his position as safety. You're, going to be pushed down the board. It's just a position that a lot of NFL GMs and teams don't see as valuable. But Starks is really, really good. He's an instinctive player, incredibly fast, great in coverage, can tackle really well. You're getting a lot with Malachi Starks. You're getting an all-around versatile player, whether you want to play him at deep safety in the box, at the nickel, move him around. You get, a guy that you can move around, play a bunch of different schemes with. You just need guys like that on the defense, and the Colts can just get better over as a whole on that defensive side of the ball with Malachi Starks. At 15, the Falcons, I'm going to go with an edge rusher here, and it is going to be Micah Williams. He's really good. A great athlete. Again, you see Georgia's been producing athletes off the edge like crazy these past couple of years, and Micah Williams is just another one of them. Really, really fast. He's going to test incredibly well. Combine's coming up here in just a couple of weeks. 6'5", 265, so he's big. He's going to come off the edge. He's going to produce. He can drop back into coverage a little bit as well. He's athletic enough to do that. Good pass rush plan, good eyes, good use of his hands. He's going to be a solid edge rusher, and I could also see him higher up here as well. I considered him to the Panthers at their 8, but falls down here to 15. For the Cardinals. What do we want to do with the Arizona Cardinals? Well, we go to the D-line. I'm going to give him Kenneth Grant from Michigan. I think he's going to be a top 20 pick. Really, really good. He's been that running mate with Mason Graham for a while now. They both just put up numbers. Grant, I think, is a little bit slower and a little bit better in the pass game than Mason Graham. And I think Mason Graham is better in the run. But, again, both great players. Grant's going to come in there, fill a need in the middle of the D-line. They just have a hole there. They just don't have anyone incredible in that middle. Stop the run to get some pass rush, and I think Grant can fill that. The Bengals desperately need D-line. They need defense in general. So let's go with somebody who really increased their stock at the Senior Bowl and go with Mike Green. Such a good athlete. I think he was top of the country in sacks this past season. I want to say he was number one. Him or Dominic Ezeraku was number one. 6'4", 248, so a little light. He'll beef up. He's going to test really, really well, though, at the Combine. Had an incredible week in one-on-ones and drills at the Senior Bowl. Definitely solidified him as a first-round pick. It's now just how high is he going to go? The Bengals just need defensive help. You take a guy who is going to be good now, but can be great with a little bit of development, and that's Mike Green. Seahawks at 18. I'm going to go with an interesting kind of pick here. I haven't done this before. And it's going to be Jalen Walker to the Seahawks. I think Walker's going to end up playing a lot of off the edge as well as rushing up the middle. He's kind of one of those rushing linebackers. He's not necessarily an outside linebacker, but he's not necessarily like a middle cover linebacker either. He can do it all. And that's what makes Jalen Walker so incredible. He's athletic enough, he's fast enough to drop back in coverage as well as rush the edge, blitz up the middle. The Seahawks defense just needs to get faster, younger, and more versatile, and that's exactly what Jalen Walker brings. For the Buccaneers at 19, I've gone corner before, I've gone linebacker before, and we're going to do it again. Back-to-back linebacker. It's going to be Jahad Campbell. I think he's for sure a first-round pick at this point. He's really, really increased his stock. He's another guy like Jalen Walker. Campbell's probably not going to come off the edge full-time. He was a former 5-star edge recruit who is now a linebacker. He's fast enough to play in coverage. I think he's going to be another versatile guy, but he's not going to come off the edge nearly as much as Jalen Walker. But he's still going to fill a need. You're missing on Levante David. He's getting up there in age. You really got to get their replacement. I think Campbell does that. The Broncos at 20. They have wide receivers a number one need. I disagree with that. I'm going to get somebody in the first round who I haven't gotten in there yet at all. It's going to be Nick Emenwari. He's really, really good. And if he wasn't a safety, he would be a top 25 pick. That's just how good. He might be a top 15 player for me in this class. That's just how good his tape is. There's just the positional value pushes him down, but he's so instinctive, so good in coverage, so quick on his reactions to the ball and to the play. Emmett Warry is really good, and you can just get better on that back end if you're the Denver Broncos. You saw Sean Payton. He's taken safeties and really valued that position in the past during his time in New Orleans, so Emmett Warry can kind of fill that hole, and he's really good. He's going to go higher than people expect, for sure. The Steelers at 21. I know they're not going to do it, but if Burton's there, you got to go. You got to go with him. They're not going to take wide receiver. However, Burton's so good with the football in his hands. He's going to get a lot of yards after the catch. He's going to make defenders miss. He doesn't really drop the ball much. He's a little small, but you'll deal with that in the NFL. You'll take it in the slot as well. He's going to be full-time slot. I think he can play on the outside for different, plays and schemes, but he's going to be full-time slot. But I know the Steelers just don't take receiver this high, but man, if Burton's there, you got to do it. You just have to. For the Chargers, I hate to keep doing this, but it's Harbaugh, and he takes his Michigan guys, Colson Loveland. He missed some time. I think people forget about him. He's tight end 3 for me in this class. I have Harold Fannin above him, but Fannin's not going to be a first-round pick. We kind of know that unless somebody really values him at the back end. But Loveland's really, really good, a great receiver. He's not your traditional inline tight end. He's a little short for that, a little small for that. But he's going to put up numbers. He's going to be a good receiving threat. And Herbert just needs a bigger receiving threat there at the tight end position. You can't just keep throwing to Ladd McConkey every play and Quentin Johnston who drops the ball. Packers at 23, easy one. James Pierce is here. Faster off the edge, younger off the edge, more athletic off the edge. I mean, Pierce is super, super fast. Probably the fastest edge rusher in this class. He's ridiculous. He's going to get around the edge. He's going to bend around the edge. He's got good bend. You have some issues about, obviously the weight. He's light as well as production. But, man, James Pierce with a little bit of development, 243, and he needs to get a little bigger. But with the right development, he can be an absolute force. And I could also see him going higher. I think he could also fall. I mean, he's one of those polarizing guys. He's an athlete. He's not a player. He's an athlete. And so you got to develop him into a player. The Vikings at 24. We're going to go running back, and we are going to push Quinshon Judkins up. He had a really good end of the year. I think he's going to go higher than people expect. A lot of people would go Amarian Hampton or Caleb Johnson if you were going running back, but people value Ohio State. They value the name. And Judkins is going to go high. He lacks that top-end speed, but he's hard to tackle. He adds in the receiving game, and he had a really good end of the year. So I think we could see Judkins go in that first round. 25, the Texans. I've seen some Texans fans saying they need wide receiver, and you might as well reunite Egbuka with C.J. Stroud. Really good in the slot. He lacks top-end speed, but he gets separation, the route movements. He's fluid on the cuts, and he catches the ball. He just doesn't drop it. He's reliable, and that's valuable for the slot there. And, of course, Tank Dell with injury, Stephon Diggs, you don't really know. Nico Collins has gotten hurt. Get Stroud more reliable wide receivers, and that's Emeka Egbuka. For the Rams, I'm going to go Josh Simmons here. I considered going with a different tackle. I really did consider going Cam Williams here or even Josh Connerly, but Josh Simmons had a really good year of tape that he put on the board. It's just the injury is going to push him down because he didn't have as much tape. But when he was out there, his tape was incredible, really good. Just didn't get beat. He just didn't get beat, and that's really valuable. I mean, obviously, you don't want your tackles to get beat. Ravens at 27. Where do we go with the Ravens? I'm going to go in the cornerback room. And it's going to be Jahdae Barron. I do think he goes in the first round. I know he's short for a corner. He's probably going to be in the slot. I like to think he could stick in the boundary, 5'11", but he's probably not going to be able to full-time. But people stop valuing like nickel corners or slot corners, but we've seen how valuable those guys can be to teams. But Jahdae Barron is just such a good player. He doesn't get beat in coverage. Incredible ball skills, incredible eyes. He sticks with the receiver, sticks with the quarterback's eyes. Barron's going to go high. He's going to be a first-round guy, I think. And the Ravens just draft well every year. They get proven guys who are good at their position, and Barron is going to be that for them. And the Ravens getting better, man. Hurts as a Browns fan to see. The Lions at 28, easy pick. Easy pick. I know they have Hutchinson, but when he gets hurt and you need someone else on the other end to get edge productions, Nick Scorton will do that. He needs to lighten up a little bit. He played bigger this past year at Texas A&M up to 285. He was better at Purdue when he was around that 260, 265. Just needs to get a little lighter. I'm not really sure why Texas A&M beefed him up. He lost a little bit of his speed, but he's still really good off the edge. Great use of his hands. He's really technical. Great use of his hands, good bend, great plan. He's going to beat tackles at times. I think with that speed as well, he's going to be more than not beating tackles in the NFL. For the Commanders, I'm definitely watching that NFC Championship game. Daniels needs protection, but they also need to rush the quarterback. Jalen Hurts just had so much time, and they really didn't get to the quarterback. But then you look at these edge rushers right here, and I really like David Walker. You like Kyle Kennard, but would I take any of these guys in the first? Probably not. So now you're going to go look at offensive tackle, protect Jaden Daniels. Who's actually going to stick at tackle? Who's going to go to guard? You don't know that. So let's go with someone who can do both. Donovan Jackson. He was a guard, and then they moved him to tackle, and he was incredible there. So I think if you wanted to try to play him as tackle, you can. If not, you can move him inside the guard, and you get another solid guy to just protect Jaden Daniels. I think that's a really, really solid pick for them. The Bills, wide receiver is where I'm looking. It's Matthew Golden. Golden's really, really good. He had a great year this year at Texas. A lot of production is going to push him into the first. He doesn't drop the football. He just gets open. Really, really good route runner. His cuts are fluid. He creates separation at the top of his route. I like Matthew Golden a lot. He's probably higher on my board than I think a lot of other people. But first round pick to the Bills for him. Chiefs, pretty obvious where we're going. We're going to the offensive tackle. And who is someone who could stick at tackle, but you're not for sure on that? Jonas Avai. Because, again, he actually had better measurements at the Senior Bowl than I expected. The arms did reach 34 inches. He didn't look great at tackle during the game and the drills, but if you think you can develop him, you think he can stick there. If not, again, move inside the guard. I know they have a really, really solid interior, so he probably wouldn't have much of a spot there. But you need to try and see if he can get there at tackle, because when he was at tackle at Arizona, he was so good. And if you think that Senior Bowl week was just a fluke, you saw that the arm length is fine, the height is fine, the weight is fine. If you think he can stick at tackle, you got to go there. Eagles at 32. This team is just so solid and so ridiculously good. Where do you even go with this one? Probably go on the offensive line in the interior. And I'm going to go Wyatt Milam. He's another one of those tackles in this class that's just going to move inside the guard because of arm length issues and height, and you don't really know, what you have with him out there on tackle. But you move inside the guard, you just need to, you just get better on the offensive line. You just get more offensive linemen. The Eagles have an abundance of them, but they're a factory. They produce the best offensive linemen in the league. For this second round, we're going to go a little bit shorter, take a little bit less time on these picks. Still going to talk about them all, but it won't be as in-depth for some of them. For the Browns, we gave them Abdul Carter earlier. So where are you looking? Probably at tackle, at corner. Do you really like any of these tackles here? I don't mind Gray Zabel, but he's probably could move inside the guard. Well, 6'6". I know the arm length isn't incredible, but I am going to go Gray Zabel because he had a really, really good Senior Bowl week. And if you think he can stick there at tackle, North Dakota State's produced some good offensive linemen. If you can stick that out there at tackle, you need tackle. And you got an edge rusher, a premier edge rusher in Abdul Carter, and then a great developmental tackle in Gray Zabel. That's a really solid first two rounds for the Cleveland Browns. For the Giants here, you didn't take quarterback at the start. You took Travis Hunter. Do you do it here? No, you don't. You just don't. Don't reach. Don't overthink it. You took Travis Hunter. He's going to be a corner for you. Get some offensive production, right? Get some offensive production. I'm going to go at the tight end spot. And I just want you to hear me out here. I know the Giants, that's not their biggest need. But Harold Fannin is going to produce like a wide receiver. He's ridiculous. He's not a traditional tight end. He's going to be an open weapon. He doesn't drop the football. He runs well. He can block really well. He's just such a good player. I think people are kind of sleeping on him because Bowling Green, he's short. And Tyler Warren, but Fannin's so good. And I think even though the Giants don't necessarily need him, it's a really, really good player. And when you do get your franchise quarterback, maybe that's next year's draft, Fannin is going to be loved by whoever that quarterback is. The Titans at 35, you took Cam Ward. So let's go corner now. Let's go Ben Morrison. The ACL injury is going to knock him down, of course. And he had some issues. Didn't nearly as good 2024 tape as he had 2023 tape. But he's still a really, really good player. He's big. He's going to play that boundary corner. And Tennessee, if you come away with Cam Ward and Ben Morrison, you're feeling really good. For the Jaguars, this is an easy one for me. We're going to go with Marcus Mbow from Purdue. He can play all 5 spots along the offensive line, and so you just get better on the offensive line. That's the biggest thing for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You can protect Trevor Lawrence. You already took, I believe I gave them Will Johnson. You already filled that boundary need. Go with an offensive lineman here. Just makes sense. The Raiders need someone to catch the football for a new quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. So where do you go here? Well, I think we go with Jack Beck. Incredible. Probably the best wide receiver at the Senior Bowl. Absolutely insane week. He played great in the game, great in the practices. He was voted multiple times as the hardest to guard or best wide receiver by the players there. He's going to go high, probably top 40. And you get a productive wide receiver who's big. Measured a little shorter than I expected, but he's still big. 6'2", 215. Play on that outside. He's just going to be a reliable weapon for Shedeur Sanders. You got to get your quarterback weapons. If you're drafting a young quarterback, you got to get him weapons. For the Patriots, you went with Will Campbell earlier, and I mentioned you got to get Drake Mason weapons, so we'll do that here. Back-to-back wide receivers. This one's going to be Restrepo. Restrepo is short, but he's so good. He's so fast. He's fluid in his routes. He's going to catch the football. He's going to be productive. You get Drake May, a slot wide receiver that he can trust and that he can rely on, and that's the biggest thing. A quarterback needs to trust and rely on their wide receivers. Restrepo, Cam Ward relied on him. I was Tyler Van Dyke, I guess, when he was there. But he's always been reliable in college and good, and that's going to push him into the second round. Bears at 39. Where'd you go earlier? I believe I gave them Armand Membu. Yes, so you've got Ben Johnson. What does he like to do? He loves to run the football. Omarion Hampton's still there. Let's give it to him. That's an easy one for me. Coming over from Detroit, Ben Johnson loves to run the football. So you get a running back. Going to be really nice there. Really nice compliment to Caleb Williams. The Saints went Tyler Warren. So now I think we go defense, and it's going to be on the D-line. It's going to be Walter Nolan. He could be a first-round pick. I'm not high on Walter Nolan like a lot of other people are. I think he really could be a first-round pick. But 40 is no slight for him. He's really, really good. Depending on the recruiting site you look at, he was the number 1 or 2 recruit in that same class as Travis Hunter. Highly touted guy. Lots of talent. I just question some things on tape with him. The motor, but he's really good. So you get him at 40, you're happy with that. A guy who could especially go earlier. The Bears back up. Well, you protected Williams. You got him a running back. Now let's look on the other side of the ball. You need to rush the passer. Jack Sawyer had a really, really good playoff. I mean, he was just incredible there. You think you can ride that high and just get more production off the edge with him? You take that pick. The Jets at 42. You got a weapon in Tet McMillan earlier. You need a quarterback. Who's somebody that everyone's pushing up the board? Not me. Not me. But everyone currently is pushing Jackson Dart up the board. And I think he's going to be a second-round pick, which is crazy to me. But Dart here at 42. The Jets get a quarterback. He has an arm, and he's pretty accurate downfield. However, with the scheme that Ole Miss was in, guys were open just all the time. You didn't have to slot into tight windows or play those tight routes often. He had open guys, and of course he was hitting them often. But I'm not a Jackson Dart guy. I'm not a huge Jackson Dart guy. I have Shedeur over him, Ward over him, Howard over him, Kyle McCord and Curtis Rourke both over him for me. I actually quite like Kyle McCord as a prospect. But Dart seems to be valued pretty highly in NFL front offices. So the Jets, you got to replace Aaron Rodgers. You bring in Dart. You have a quarterback battle between Jordan Travis and Jackson Dart. And I got Jackson Dart would probably win, but yeah. Interesting pick there for the Jets. If you're a Jets fan, how are you feeling about that? Put that in the comments. San Francisco, Josh Connerly is here. Everyone's going to look at that one rep and say, oh, Mike Green destroyed him. He was playing the opposite side of tackle that he normally does. And I'm guilty of this because I tweeted it too. But it was one rep. Connerly had a really, really good Senior Bowl. Other than that, you went Mason Graham earlier, so now you got to go on the other side of the line. Just beef up the trenches. And I think that's kind of what San Francisco has to do to get back to the playoffs where they were a couple years ago. Dallas, we're going to go with another edge rusher here. Of course, they went with Genty earlier, and we're going to go with Princely Umanmielen. Solid player. He's just been productive for a long time in college. I have questions about his speed, a little bit of athleticism questions, but you just need to beef up on the edge there if you're Dallas, and Umanmielen can do that. Colts at 45. You got Malachi Starks earlier, I believe. Yes, you got Malachi Starks earlier. So here, let's go on the other side of the ball, and we're going to go back to the tight end position, and we're going to push up Elijah Arroyo. He had a really good Senior Bowl. A lot of people have been pushing him up boards recently. You passed on Colson Loveland earlier. Tyler Warren was already off the board at your pick, and now Harold Fannon's off the board at this other pick. Go with Arroyo. He's pretty good. I have him as my tight end 4 or 5. I haven't really. I have Warren and then Fannin and then Loveland, and then it's kind of between Mason Taylor and Arroyo now. But Arroyo he just upped his stock a lot. You need a tight end. The fit's just there. The Falcons, earlier you went to Mykel Williams. I'm going to stick on the defensive side of the ball because you just need defense. That defense is so bad. And we're going to go with Carson Schweschinger. Really, really solid player from UCLA. Great tackler. Good in coverage. He's just a thumper up the middle. And that's kind of what they need. Someone to just set the tone in the middle of that defense. And I like Carson Schweschinger a lot. He's light, but you can beef him up in an NFL locker room or an NFL weight room. For the Cardinals, I believe we went D-line. Yeah, Kenneth Grant. So let's look on the other side of the ball now. And let's go with another one of those guys who could be a tackle, could be a where am I looking? Could be a tackle, could be a guard, but is most likely a guard. Tyler Booker. He's not who I was thinking of. Who was I thinking of? I don't know. He's not going to be a tackle. Tyler Booker's going to be a guard. And I think you could see him go higher, too. A lot of people are really valuing him in the first round. Daniel Jeremiah, I believe, had him in his top 15 a couple mock drafts ago. I mean, he's viewed as a really safe pick around the league is what I've been hearing. And I think he really could go higher than 47. But if he's here and you need to get better in the offensive line, you might as well do it. The Dolphins at 48. You need to replace Javon Holland, who's going into free agency. Desperately need to replace Javon Holland, who's going into free agency. So where do you look to do that? Look at the safety here. It's not good. It's not good. So are you going to reach for that? Not really. I'm going to go... I'll click safety again. I'm going to go on the cornerback room and put a guy that you can kind of have do a little bit of both. And that's going to be Siobhan Revel. He's played mainly, in fact, almost all corner at his time. However, he's 6'3", 193, coming off of an ACL injury. You may want to have him as a corner with the safety versatility. And I think, obviously, he played full corner, but getting the versatility isn't bad. It's not going to full-time replace Javon Holland. However, it is still a good pick, really good player. I like Siobhan Revel a lot. The Bengals at 49, wide receiver. You're losing T. Higgins. Get Alec Iomanor on the other side of Jamar Chase. He's really good. He's big. Now, of course, that viral clip. It's hard to say. That viral clip a couple of years ago of him mossing Travis Hunter. He's big on the boundary. He's great. The top end speed and separation concerns me a little bit, but he's going to catch the ball, and I think in an offense with Burrow, where Burrow can put the ball at very specific spots, Iomanor is going to be incredible. For the Seahawks, we went on the edge with Jalen Walker earlier. So now, I see they're tough for me because their GM was like, guard is the most overdrafted and overvalued position, but you got to get better there. But instead of guard, we're going to go with the tackle there because their tackle group also isn't very good and can be improved. Cam Williams needs some developing. He's probably not going to start right away, but you get an athlete who you can develop who's huge and had some solid tape at Texas this year. Again, probably needs to sit for at least half a season, maybe a full season to be ready, but I think you're happy with that pick. The Buccaneers, we gave them Jahad Campbell. We're going to go in the defensive back room now. Go with a corner, and I'm going to push Azariah Thomas up here. He could also be a first-round pick. He's really good. One of the bright spots of that Florida State defense that was just not as good this year. Really solid coverage, instinctive. I worry about the physicality, but you're getting a covered corner there, and that's exactly what the Buccaneers need. For the Broncos, we gave them Nick Emenwari earlier. Okay. So I think we're gonna look on the D line. And I'm going to go with, I believe I saw him at the top here, so I didn't really have to do this, but TJ Sanders. Really, really good season at South Carolina. Increased his stock a lot during the season. Just productive, good pass rush juice up the middle. That's always valuable for interior defensive linemen. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, well, you went wide receiver earlier with Luther Burden earlier. So let's do a fun pick. People get mad at me sometimes when I do fun picks, but it's mock draft. Let's explore some fun scenarios. Jalen Milroe had a very bad Senior Bowl week, and he's not good. I don't like him. However, he's got a strong arm, and he's an incredible athlete. The Steelers have already openly said that they're not committed to either Wilson or Fields. They might not bring either of them back, is what I've been seeing recently. So maybe you go with a guy who you can sit for a year. Maybe you do bring Fields back for 1 year. And then you sit Milroe for a year, and you're like, okay, if Mike Tomlin can develop this guy, he can be your franchise. It's worth the shot. It's worth the shot in the second round, pick 53. For the Chargers, I'm going to go running back, and I'm going to go with Dylan Sampson. You get a receiving back. You just need to get Herbert more weapons. You already took Colson Loveland. You get a guy who's really, really fast, is a great receiver, can also run, though. I mean, he has had a really, really good year at Tennessee. I think I was like top of the country in touchdowns at a point. Just incredible. Ridiculous. And, hey, improve that offense. You like what J.K. Dobbins did, but he's injury prone. The Packers. We're going to go in the cornerback room with the Packers, and we are going to go, I probably scrolled past him. I did. Maxwell Harrison. He was probably a first-round pick preseason, and then just a down year for Kentucky, but he's still good. 6'1". He's big on the boundary. He's good cover, and you just need to get more good cover corners out there, and you can never have too many good cover corners, and I think just the Packers need to get better there. Jair Alexander's hurt a lot. Just get Harrison. He's there. Get him. At pick 56 for the Buffalo Bills, I think we went wide receiver earlier, yes, with Matthew Golden. So now I'm going to look on the D-line. I don't have to look at all. He's right here. Tyleik Williams. Really, really good player. I thought he'd honestly... I thought he'd have a better season and be pushed up into the first round. But it was just good. It wasn't great. It was just a good season of tape for him. So I think pick 56 is pretty worthy of that. He's productive. He's, good at the run, great at diagnosing the gaps. So I think you like Tyleik Williams there. For the Texans 57, I'm going to go offensive line. It's going to be Ariante Ursary. I like him a lot. I think he's going to stick at tackle. Again, you just need to get better on the offensive line with the Houston Texans. Earlier, we gave them Emeka Egbuka. So Ariante Ursary can do that. He can just make you better at the offensive line. Get tackle. You think he can stick there. He's big. So, yeah, 6'6", 330. He's massive. Forget big. So, you like what you get there. The Panthers at 58. So, this is their first pick in the second round. We gave them Shamar Stewart earlier. I'm going to stick on the defensive side, give them a corner, and this one's going to be Darian Porter. I haven't seen much hype for Darian Porter. I like Darian Porter a lot. Great cover guy, great in-zone coverage, solid in man. He's huge, 6'4", 200. He's a little bit older of a prospect, so that's, part of the reason why he's not getting much hype. But I like him a lot. I think he could be a top 60, top 70 pick. The Ravens at 59, approaching the end of the second round. They took Jahdae Barron. So we're going to go on the edge. And we're going to go with Dominic. Why did I think of Dominic Ezeraku? Donovan Ezeraku for the Ravens. They just draft well. He had such a productive year. Top of the country in sacks, or one of the top of the country in sacks this past year with 14, you can see here. Just ridiculous. Good size. 247 solid. 6'2" is a little short. That's what's going to push him down a little bit. But really productive. And the Ravens they draft good players every year. It just happens. The Lions. We're going to go linebacker. And we're going to go with... I scrolled past again, didn't I? Yeah, Chris Paul. Chris Paul Jr., not the basketball player. Chris Paul Jr. out of Ole Miss. really, really good cover guy, good tackler. Just another solid, trustworthy guy you can have up the middle in that defense. You just got to improve that defense. They gave up too many points in the playoffs. For Washington, you went with Donovan Jackson earlier. And what do you do here? You go with a wide receiver. You get Jaden Daniels, just another guy to throw to. And I think this would be a really, really solid spot to take a chance on Isaiah Bond. He didn't have the greatest year, and he does drop the football. However, he's fast. He's really fast. And if you can get Jaden Daniels an incredible deep threat, Daniels has a great deep ball. That fit is just perfect there. Bills at 62. Buffalo's gone Tyreek Williams in the second, and they went with Matthew Golden. So where else are you looking now? Probably in that defensive back room. I'm going to go back here, and we're going to go with Trey Amos. I'm not the biggest fan of Amos, but he has versatility to play both safety and corner. And you like the versatility there that he brings. Buffalo just needs to get more versatile and better on the defensive end of the ball. And again, you just stack that defense with versatile athletes. It's going to be hard to stop, or hard to move the ball on, I guess. The Chiefs at 63. They just go best player available with Landon Jackson. I mean, he probably really could go earlier than this, but he's a really, really good player. He had a great year at Arkansas, 6'7", so he's big. He's huge. 7 sacks 2 years in a row for him. The hurries, 20 hurries this past year is really, really solid. So again, the Chiefs just draft well, you get better. I had someone say to go over, the top players still available at the end of the mock draft, so we're going to do that. These quarterbacks, only a couple went off the board. Gabriel's still here. Howard's still here. McCord's still here. I guess we'll just scroll down here. Tuimoloau is a guy. He's going to be my pick here for the Eagles, so he's not going to still be here. Scatterboo and Caleb Johnson. I don't expect Scatterboo to go. Caleb Johnson really could go in the first two. Kyle Kennard, too. Again, there's so many good players that it's just hard to get everyone into the first 2 rounds. It's so limited. So I can't just push guys up because I want them to be there. It has to make sense for the pick. And if there just isn't a spot, there just isn't a spot. Jaden Higgins I really like. Derek Harmon is a guy that I honestly completely forgot that he even existed. But I haven't seen the hype for him since middle of the college football season. I still think he could be... Now I'm reconsidering. I may go Derek Harmon here. Forget it. I'm going Derek Harmon here and JT Tuimoloau. I don't do these live. JT Tuimoloau is still here, by the way. It's going to be Derek Harmon. Darius Alexander is a guy I could really see being pushed up the board as well. Alfred Collins, I've seen some hype for him. Daniel Jeremiah really likes him. Travion Henderson. There weren't a lot of running backs that went. They're gonna fall. It's a deep running back class. Charles Grant from William and Mary. Tez Johnson. Deon Walker's fallen down. Tate Ratledge is here. I quite like... We're going to come by him soon. Yeah, Kobe Bryant. I quite like Kobe Bryant. David Walker had a really, really good Senior Bowl. Huge fan of his. But yeah, Derek Harmon's going to be the pick for the Eagles, and that is going to finish out this 2-round mock draft. It's a long video, guys. I believe we're running at 43 minutes. Hopefully I can get this one up on Monday afternoon, if that's when I'm recording this. If I can't get it up today, then it'll be up tomorrow. Depends on how long it takes to render. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you enjoyed your team's pick. If you didn't, if there's a player that you like that I wasn't able to fit in the first or second round, or just anything, I reply to comments. I read them all. It's nice to see you guys interacting. And you're not going to want to miss videos. You're going to want to subscribe and turn on those post notifications so that you see all these videos leading up to the draft. Of course, we get our little thing here of our first round. You can see I'll kind of scroll by slowly. If you miss any picks, you can see who went where in the first round. But yeah, this is going to do it for me. If you guys enjoyed, again, leave those likes and subscribe. Turn those notifications. A lot of videos coming up before the NFL draft. And I'll see you all in the next video.